The Today Show studio was buzzing with activity as cameras rolled and crew members adjusted lights and microphones. Chris Stapleton was scheduled for a live performance and interview, and the anticipation in the room was electric. Fans, both in studio and at home, were eager to see the country music star's charm and hear him talk about his new album. Backstage, Chris sat quietly, tuning his guitar and running through lyrics in his head. His manager, normally a calm presence, paced nervously beside him. The team had briefed Chris on the interview, warning him that the hosts could be a little aggressive with their questions. But Chris, known for his candid and sometimes stubborn personality, felt confident he could handle it. Meanwhile, the hosts prepared. The Today Show had a reputation for live spontaneity, and while most guests were used to scripted questions, the hosts often threw curveballs to spark a viral moment. And today, they hinted, the focus would be on a controversial topic: the music industry's politics, from awards shows to streaming royalties. As Chris walked on stage, the audience erupted into applause. He smiled politely, greeting the hosts with a nod and a handshake, but there was a flicker of tension in his eyes. The cameras captured every subtle expression, the tightening of his jaw, the slight lift of an eyebrow. The interview began with light questions: his tour, his songwriting process, and inspirations behind the new album. Chris answered with his signature blend of warmth and humor, diffusing any potential tension. But as the conversation shifted, the tone changed. One host, known for her probing style, leaned forward. "Chris, some artists have said that the music industry isn't fair, especially for independent singers. Have you ever felt that your talent wasn't recognized properly?" Chris paused, choosing his words carefully. He was no stranger to honesty, and he knew this question could spark controversy. "I've had my share of frustrations," he said. "But I focus on making music that I believe in, not on chasing validation from the industry." The audience murmured, sensing the first hint of conflict. The host pressed further, trying to draw him into a debate. "But what about the critics? Or awards that are more about politics than merit?" Chris shifted in his seat. He could feel the tension building, a storm ready to erupt. The cameras captured the moment, the calm before the confrontation, the energy in the room tightening like a coiled spring. The interview had reached a crossroads. Chris, normally patient, was now visibly frustrated. His hands gripped the guitar case beside him, knuckles white, as the host continued pressing questions with a sharp edge. "Chris, don't you think that if artists don't speak up, nothing will ever change? Are you afraid of losing favor by being honest?" Chris's voice rose slightly, controlled but firm. "I'm not afraid. I just don't believe in playing games or calling people out for the sake of drama." The tension in the studio was palpable. Crew members exchanged nervous glances, unsure if the segment could be salvaged. Chris, who usually remained composed under pressure, now leaned forward, his eyes fixed on the host. "I came here to talk about my music, not to debate industry politics with loaded questions," he said, his tone sharp. The audience shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Some cheered quietly for his honesty, while others were stunned by the confrontation. The host, sensing the escalation, tried to regain control with a smile. "I'm just asking the questions people want answered, Chris. I understand that," he replied, his voice low but resolute. "But some lines shouldn't be crossed live on air. I respect the platform, but I won't participate in a setup that feels more like an ambush than an interview." The cameras rolled as Chris stood abruptly. The room fell silent. The audience gasped. Crew members froze mid-action. Without another word, he picked up his guitar and walked toward the exit. The host's smile faltered. The live broadcast cut to commercial as whispers filled the studio. Once the cameras stopped rolling, the tension lingered. Social media exploded within minutes. Clips of Chris standing up and leaving the set went viral, with hashtags trending worldwide. Fans debated his actions, with some praising his courage to walk away and others criticizing the abrupt departure. Backstage, producers scrambled to issue a statement. Chris Stapleton's segment ended early. He chose to leave the interview due to disagreements over the direction of questioning. Chris returned to his dressing room, letting out a long sigh. He knew the incident would dominate headlines, but he felt at peace with his decision. He had maintained his integrity, refusing to compromise his values for ratings or viral moments. Meanwhile, news outlets covered the story extensively, speculating on the heated clash, and debating whether Chris would return to the Today Show. Interviews with music industry insiders painted him as a principled artist who refused to be manipulated, while fans flooded social media with messages of support. In the days that followed, Chris released a statement of his own. "I went on the Today Show to share my music and connect with fans. While I respect the team, I felt the conversation shifted into territory that wasn't respectful of my work or intentions. I stand by my music and my values." The incident sparked a wider conversation about the pressures artists face on live television, the balance between honesty and spectacle, and the power dynamics in the music industry. Chris returned to the stage at a sold-out venue that weekend, guitar in hand, greeted by a standing ovation. The controversy behind him, he poured his heart into the music, reminding fans why authenticity mattered more than headlines. The story of Chris Stapleton walking off the Today Show became a symbol, a reminder that integrity sometimes demands difficult choices, even in the public eye. And for viewers, the suspense remained. What happens when honesty collides with the pressure of live television?